Where can I use RPA? This is a question that is at the forefront of any discussion on automation. Even as the use of RPA is growing across industries, there are still a lot of questions on the various tasks or areas in which robotic process automation can be useful. Can it be used for complex tasks? Can RPA be useful if the tasks involve multiple systems? And what if human intervention or a decision is required in some process? Apart from these generic questions, there will always be questions specific to your industry. While there is no one-size-fits-all answer to this question, we will look at a couple of specific applications to the real estate management industry in this video. The way RPA works is that it simulates the actions of a user to automate actions and tasks. It can be configured to replicate a set of steps in a given process, and a certain amount of decision-making can also be configured in it. RPA can thus be used to automate almost all your tasks. Let's look at an example.
Consider a simple scenario where a new lease needs to be created, and all the required information has already been abstracted in an Excel template. Let's see how RPA can help us with it. This is the Excel file which has the data for the new lease to be entered. Let us now run our robot and see what it does. The robot will log into your ERP system, read the data from the Excel, then navigate to the required screen and start entering the lease. It is important to note that all the actions seen on the screen are being done by the robot without any human intervention. It will then enter contact information and then start entering the recurring charges. But what will happen if there is any error? Like if the income category entered in the Excel is not present in the system. Well, we have simulated this scenario, and let's see what happens. The robot will capture the error message and continue with the rest of the process. The result is then captured in the Excel file against that step. It now becomes easy for someone to only look at the steps that have failed and take the necessary action.
That was interesting. This simple example we just saw has multiple applications. It can be used to enter a large number of leases in a short time frame. It can be used for regression or disaster recovery testing. It can be used for complex tasks that are not frequent and hence prone to errors if done by a user who is not familiar with the process. It can be used to enter information from any other system into your own system without any complex integration. And the list is endless. Let's have a look at one more scenario. This time we are looking at a tedious task of looking at a huge bunch of trial balances from a legacy system and comparing it with your current system.
Suppose that you're onboarding a bunch of properties. Your technical team has already brought in the data into your property management software. But now you have to validate the trial balances and ensure everything matches with the old system, verifying that nothing was lost in the transition. What you have to work with is a bunch of trial balances for the current year in PDFs. Let's break down the meaning of bunch. A separate file for each month, that is 12 files per property. Now multiply that by the number of properties and you have far too many PDFs to go through to verify and validate. The point is, that is a lot of tedious work. Let's bring in RPA into the picture and see how it can help you here. Let's run a robot to do all this for you. The robot follows the navigation path to the specified folder and open it up in a PDF. Use OCR to read the data within the PDF and write it into an Excel sheet. Here is the trial balance data in Excel. The robot will then open up the browser and log into MRI for you. It will search for the required report, in this case, the trial balance report, and select the entity and the period balance on the extracted data from the PDF. Wait for the report to be generated and download the Excel file in a specified folder. Let's understand all the things that the robot is doing here. It reads the trial balance that we had converted from the PDF file, used the charts of accounts mapping to identify the corresponding MRI account. It then opened up the trial balance downloaded from MRI and filled in the balance against the corresponding account in MRI. And now it's doing the same for the rest of the accounts. Now that we have all the information together, let's compare the values and see which ones match. Whichever figures don't match is where you, the user, now are able to identify the discrepancies.
That really made things easy. These are just two examples of how we can help you with your automation tasks.